Greetings, everyone. The New York Thrifter here, and what you're going to see for the next couple of minutes are scenes from the bins. That is the Goodwill outlet store, otherwise known as the Bins. This one is in Queens, New York. It's the one I mainly like to go to, even though there's one relatively close in the southern part of New Jersey, and then another one in Pennsylvania. I really enjoy going to this one because it's closer, although you run into pretty bad traffic when you're headed over to Queens. I just wanted to give you kind of an idea of what picking through these giant blue bins looks like. It was a weekday that I went. This was Friday. Friday is the last day that I did my reselling, my full-time reselling adventure on eBay. I was pretty successful for the week. I'm going to run through numbers in a little bit, but before that, I wanted to do just kind of one last look and one last haul into life as a reseller. What you're looking at here is a pile of rejects. What happens is new bins come out, the workers bring new bins out, and they keep everyone to the side. And then when everything is laid out properly, they literally yell, "Go!" Everyone rushes towards the new bins, and clothes are thrown and elbows are thrown, and it gets a little dicey for a while. I generally tend to stand back from that. I don't need jeans that badly. And then once all of the clothes are thrown into carts, the people will go through each piece individually, and anything that they don't want to take, they will throw back in the bins, and that's usually when I go through it. I'm usually looking for a little bit different things than other people. I think, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of these other buyers at the bins, they're going for more kind of mall brands that they know will sell. So they're looking for, Gap and Banana Republic and things of that nature, where I'm looking for hopefully brands that command a little bit more money, a little bit more designer, if not designer-ish. I know those brands pretty well. And so I just wanted to give you kind of a look around. Sorry for the little bit of a shaky camera, but they prohibit any filming, so I'm an outlaw. I'm undercover with my phone next to my waist, trying to get some good shots for you guys. But I always think it's interesting to kind of get a look inside this world. I was able to film a little bit of the people rushing in to get to the new bins, which you're going to see next, and then after that we'll go right into the haul. So I hope you enjoy this tiny clip of the mad dash. Okay, so it is time for the haul. First up, I've got these J. Peterman shoes, and they are tiny. They're 5.5s, but they are in really good shape. And when I looked them up, I know J. Peterman in clothing does really well. So I took a chance on these, and it turns out I can probably sell them for between $30 and $35, although they might move slowly because they are so small. But I figured, hey, they cost me less than $1, so I would give them a shot. Next up is a Free People dress. Ooh, Free People. And a lot of times Free People can do better on Poshmark, and I might take this dress there. It is a really nice, beautiful color summer dress. You'd have to wear something underneath because there is some see-through to it. And I figure I could probably put this up for around $30 on Poshmark and hopefully make about $25. This is such a good pick. It is a St. John evening jacket, size 14. It's got gold embellishments along with this rope. It is in very good condition. I haven't been able to find really any flaws with it. It is a Santana knit, which is their special knit that usually does better for resale. And so whenever you find St. John, you always want to get really excited because it does well. Even if there's a stain or a hole, you can still make a lot of money on it. And I wish it still had its Goodwill tag on it because I would love to see how much they had this priced at the store. Because I was at the bins, I probably paid about $2 for it. It's quite heavy. And it looks like I'll probably be able to put it up for maybe $125 and then take a best offer maybe of $100. We'll see. This is a standard James purse maxi skirt, so it's very long. It's got a drawstring on it and it's a cotton blend, so it would be really, really easy and comfortable to wear. I'm probably going to put this up between $30 and $40. This is a new to me brand. I didn't recognize it when I was at the bins, but I looked it up. I still couldn't find any matches because I think I was spelling this wrong. It turns out this is 8th District Denim, and this is a size 2X men's denim shirt. And I just recognized the quality, the stitching, the buttons. I just knew that this was something special, so I ended up picking it up for probably around $2. It's very heavy. Turns out they are a really great brand, and I'm going to be able to resell that for hopefully like $60. I know that's aiming high, but that's what these pieces are going for. This is a limited collection, size 8 woman's dress, and I normally don't pick up limited, but this one happens to have a woman with an umbrella all over it, and I thought that was just a really great little print. I figure on Poshmark this would probably do pretty well, maybe around $20 hopefully, and it was super light, so it probably cost me less than $1. This brand is Mara Hoffman. Now, I have a piece of a top from her that is not selling for very, very much. I actually did sell it for $14.99, but then the buyer didn't pay, so I'm going to have to relist it. But it turns out the swim collection, here it says Mara Hoffman Swim, does better than the shirts. And this is a dress. I would assume, you know, you'd wear it on the beach. It's super, super bright, perfect for summer. And the swim goes for quite good money. This one I'm probably going to be listing for about $45 and hopefully getting close to that. Got a pair of Joe's cut off denim jeans, and I really like these because they're destroyed, and that's really great. Now these were originally not cut off. I believe somebody cut them off themselves. I will look up the style number to find out, but it turns out destroyed shorts like this can go for around $20. So who knew? I don't usually get men's suits, but when I saw this and I saw the lining, I wanted to get to know it better. And it's specifically tailored for a person. So Eric is missing his jacket out there somewhere. It is Holland and Sherry on Savile Row, and I know this is I lived in London for a while, and I know this is like one of the posh streets where people shop. So I looked it up, and I found that these jackets do very well because they're custom. You have to take measurements very carefully, and you might have to wait on them a while. But it looks like for something like that I paid about $3 for because of the weight. You know, you can list it anywhere between $55 and $150 to see what the market will bear. This next one is a J. Crew outlet store long wool tunic cardigan for women, and I'm probably going to be listing this for about $25. Here we've got a Vince Camuto sweater. It is not sweater season, but for $1, I couldn't say no. So I grabbed this. I'm going to be listing this probably on Poshmark. It usually does a little better. I'll probably list it for 25, and if somebody offers me anywhere around 18 or 20, I'll take it. This is a long skirt, a modest skirt by Lane Bryant, and I got it because it was new with tags, originally $46, and it definitely looks like an older tag, an older style. And it turns out that this probably wasn't a very good buy. I'll probably only get about $10 for it, but I paid $1 for it, so there's definitely a return on it. This is an Ula Popkin plus size top in brown. It's button down with a very textured material. Originally wanted $8.99 in the store for it. I do consider this new without tags because it still has the button on it. It's not new with tags because it doesn't have the original store tag, but it still has this to show that it's never been worn. So when I looked this brand up, it turns out I can probably ask for about $20 for that. I have a shirt here, a plus size shirt by Maggie Barnes. It is sleeveless, just kind of a plain brown. I have been selling these plus size tops for really good money. Because this is short sleeve, I probably only get about $12 for it, but I am completely fine with that. Club Monaco women's sweater, and it is striped, very comfortable, beautiful colors on this, and it's a very lightweight sweater. So this would be something if you are working in an office and it was air conditioned, you might want to pop this on over whatever shirt you're wearing. And this looks like it goes for about $15. This is a Grace Dane Lewis 3X cardigan with a geometric kind of prints, some houndstooth in there, and it's got some buttons for closure right there. And I looked this one up, and I might be able to get hopefully around $20 for it. This is a Phillip Lim for Target sweater dress. This was not a very good buy. It turns out these are only reselling for between $12 and $15, but I'll definitely get my money out of it and make a few dollars. This is a Florette skirt, and that's an Anthropologie brand. And it is got the white and the red. Now when I wash this, I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to throw a Shout color catcher in the washing machine with this because you know, this white right next to a bright color can oftentimes bleed, and the color catchers really take care of that. Okay, pair of jeans here. These are Daughters of the Liberation size 4 jean with some interesting buttons on it. And it turns out these don't do incredibly well, probably around $15 or $18, which is fine. Usually when I buy jeans, I like a return of at least 20 just because they are heavy and can be difficult to deal with. But I will take what I can when I'm at the bins. This is a Karen Millen top, size 6. It's just a super easy pullover, and it's got these this embellishment on the shoulders, which I thought was really cool. It looks like this will go for probably around $15 or $20. Really easy to ship, weighs well under the 8 ounces, so I can send it first class for very inexpensive. This is an Icebreaker merino wool extra large dress. Icebreaker does very well. Anybody that watches Nicole State on her YouTube channel will definitely recognize this name. This is a brand that she talks about a lot. We are going into the summer months, so merino wool is not necessarily what people are thinking of, but I find that these can go from anywhere for about $40 to $80, and that's a really big, difference, but the extra large helps, as does the bright color, so I'm hoping to get a little higher up on that price. We're almost done. We only have a few more pieces. Got this pair of Bowden cropped wool pants, and they are in a plaid. Bowden does better for me when it is in dress form, but I will take the pants, which looks like I can get maybe $15 or $20 out of. These are very lightweight, so they will be shipping first class. I have a Love Victoria's Secret pink sweatshirt. I have sold Victoria's Secret sweatshirts for upwards of $40. There's nothing in particular about this one that's too special. It does have the pink logo on the back, but I would imagine I'm probably going to get between maybe 15 and 20 for this one. It is in beautiful condition. It's got like a velvety letters, and it's in perfect condition. So hopefully higher to the $20 mark on that one. And we're going to end off on one last dress. This is called Skunk Funk. And this company does kind of the mod retro style dresses, for rockabilly, people who wear rockabilly and things like that. They are cut really, really neatly. They've always got some kind of interesting detailing on them. They don't have a tremendous resale value, but they still do well. I probably will be able to get about $20 or $25 out of this dress that I paid maybe a little over $1 for. So I did the math on this pile, and if I'm able to sell everything in the pile at my lowest estimate, that's around, and then I subtract fees, the 15% for eBay. I'm probably going to be making around maybe $550, and that's really lowballing it. If one of the pieces sells full price, like for example, if that St. John, I do a little more research and I'm able to list it for higher than 125, which is possible, my profits could go up from there. But oftentimes I will take a best offer, so I will list at the high end of my estimate. So like for a skirt, I might list it at $25, and anybody that offers me $18 or $19 and best offer, I will take that. So it's just really going to depend on when I can get these up, and if the right buyer is waiting to pick up one of these pieces. Okay, so let's go through the packages that I'm going to ship today. I have 20 pieces that were purchased Friday through Sunday. There was actually a few more, but the buyers haven't paid yet, so I'm only going to show you what's been paid for. So first up are 2 of the swimsuits that I purchased the other day for $9 a piece. This one sold for $35, and this one sold for $30. So I got a pretty great return on both of those. I do still have several left out of those new with tag suits. This is a Harley Davidson woman shirt, and it just has the HD on the back and embroidery. I picked this up for $2 at a local thrift store, and I sold it for $15. This is a Torrid dress. It's a beautiful summer dress with spaghetti straps. It is plus size, 2X, and I purchased it for $4.50, and I ended up selling it for $25. This is an Athleta tank that I got for a little under $3, and I sold it for $15. This is a Not Your Daughter's Jeans top. Now, in previous videos, I talked about how I really like Not Your Daughter's jeans to sell. They go really fast. Well, the shirts also go rather quickly. So I was able to turn this around. I paid $4 for it, and I sold it for $15. Now, on these items, I do charge shipping. I charge a flat rate of anything that's going first class for $2.99. This is a Chico's top, and it's an open blouse style. I guess it's not really a sweater because it's a super, super thin fabric, but it has an animal print on it. I purchased it for, this is new with tags. I purchased it for $4 and I ended up selling it for $24. Another torrid dress. This time there was a lace overlay for this maroon red dress, and I purchased it for $4.50 and I sold this for $30. This is a men's piece. It is a Ralph Lauren top that I purchased for $3 and I sold for $20. This is a little girl's Vineyard Vines summer dress with starfish on it, pink, and I purchased this for $2.50 and I sold it for $20. These are a pair of Athleta workout shorts in corduroy that I purchased for $2 and I sold for $15. A lot of these are very lightweight and they're only going to cost about $2.77 to ship. This piece is a Prana tank with embroidery on it that I got for $2 and I sold it for $18.99 plus shipping. This is a little bit of a heavier piece. This is a Chico's Traveler open cardigan, and it has a little piece of the tag on it, so I called it new without tags, and I ended up selling this one for $24. This is a woman's Vineyard Vines long sleeve shirt with checks on it, like a gingham, and I sold this for $20 and I purchased this for a little under $3. These are a pair of white J. Crew jeans, and they had a tiny mark on the back of them. I bought these at the Goodwill outlet, and when I was going through my basket, I didn't notice the tiny stain. I got these for a little over $1, and I ended up selling them for $12.99, and they sold overnight, and the buyer is paying shipping on those. This is a men's Umbro hoodie with USA and a little shield, a flag shield on it. I got this at the bins for a little over $1, the Goodwill outlet store, and this sold for $15. This is a Croft and Barrow woman's shirt, and it's got some great striping on it. I purchased this for a little under $3 and I sold it for $16. And then my last couple of pieces are all going to be jeans. These are Harper and Liv jeans that are destroyed. They've got some great holes in them that look really, really nice. These are a plus size, and I purchased them for $3, sold them for $18. Buyer is going to pay shipping. These are a pair of Miss Me jeans, and they've got the thick stitching on them. They've also got some bling on the back pocket, which you can't really see. And Miss Me jeans lately have been losing their value, but I was able to sell these in about 3 days for $20, plus the buyer paid shipping. So even though they're not worth quite as much as they once were, I still pick them up when they're cheap enough. These jeans cost me $3. And for my last piece, you can't tell from the outside, but these are a pair of 16 tall Lane Bryant office workwear pants and dress pants, and I purchased these for $3 and I sold them for $18. So this is a pretty good a weekend for me, and I've been told by a lot of people that I was communicating over the weekend that Mother's Day tends to sell a little bit slower because, you know, moms are out on picnics and taking trips and going to restaurants and things like that with their family. So there can be a slowdown in selling clothes and women's clothes online during this weekend. I think what really helped me out is
I did spend all week listing, listing, listing. I had a very active store. I was selling a lot of things. I was taking a lot of offers. And I think that really helped me out here in just getting a lot of these items sold. It's interesting because I wonder if it wasn't a holiday weekend, what my numbers would have been, because I don't think I'll ever know. I'm not continuing on with full time on eBay. That was just a week long experiment to see what ramping up to that level would be. I still have my daytime job. I work in the city producing television, and then I also have my son, which is almost another full time job. He's 6 and very active. But I really enjoyed this week. I really had a great time. Listing all of these and seeing what kind of sales I can get. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to weigh all of these and get them in mailers for anything over a pound. I just have this priority flat rate padded envelope that I send them in, and the price for this at the post office, you can send this. It's a 2 to 3 day service for $6.30. And for everything that is under a pound, I just have these poly mailers that I get from Amazon. You can just look up poly mailers on Amazon to find the right size and the right price for you. And so I'm just going to see how long getting all of these together takes, and then I'm going to be running to the post office and dropping them off.
Okay, so you've seen what I sold, so let's look at the numbers. That is $471.80 worth of total sales for the weekend. I paid $70.77 in fees to eBay and PayPal. My shipping costs were $67.74. The cost of goods are how much money it cost me to buy all of those pieces of clothing was right around $71. So that leaves me with a total profit for the weekend of $262.29. That is after all of the shipping and shopping and everything else that goes into it, which for not working during the weekend was a pretty good deal. So now we're going to go on to questions and comments that were left on previous vlogs. First up, I had somebody ask me how many listings I did in a day, and do I take photos as I list. So first of all, during this week of full-time eBaying, I got anywhere from 0 to 60 listings up in a day. It really depended on what I was doing that day. When I was busy, when I really focused on listing, or if I had shopping to do that really cut into my listing time. So it really depends. I would say when I'm doing this part-time as my side hustle, I probably like to get between 10 and 15 listings up a day. But again, that changes dramatically. If I have something going on that takes an especially long time for my day job, then I will go sometimes a day, 2 days, 3 days without listing anything in my eBay store. As for taking photos, this can be a very time consuming part of listing for me. Not the taking of photos. I use my iPhone 7 Plus to take the photos, which is very fast. I have my lighting set up in my background, always ready for me. So that part of it can be very fast. I find prepping the clothes takes a long time. I'm very particular in what my pieces look like when I'm photographing them. This includes getting all of the wrinkles out, lint rolling them, using a sweater shaver if necessary. I oftentimes will find myself doing too many steps. It doesn't have to look perfect. These are pre-owned clothes, and I will try to get to them to the point where they do look perfect in the photo, which is sometimes it takes me a very long time. So in that case, I have to step back and I have to say, you know what? Let's just do this. Good enough is good enough. Take the photos and get them listed because nobody can buy them if they're just sitting in your to be listed pile. So what I like to do with photos to make them as easy as possible is I do wash all of my clothing. So I put it through the washer and dryer. And after it's done in the dryer, I like to take my clothes out right away when they are as wrinkle free as possible. And I will generally, I will hang them on a hanger to take the photos. And so I will try to take photos of at least 20 pieces at a time, and I find that way it really gives me something to work with. If I take 20 pictures of 20 to 30 pieces at a time, there can go 2 or 3 days sometimes where I don't have to take photos at all, which can be very good for getting me motivated to get things listed once those photos are done. So that is the way I list. This next person asked the question, if they open a new eBay account and they're only allowed to post 10 items at most, and this really doesn't allow them to sell a lot, and what I would recommend. And first of all, I would say don't get discouraged. We all start from a small amount of posted listings, and it's okay. It will grow and it will get better. In fact, it can actually be a little bit of a relief to start out a little bit slower so you don't get too overwhelmed in the beginning. That being said, it can also be really difficult to look at your store to see the 10 listings and sell maybe one piece in a month. That can be hard, and I understand that, but that's okay too. Some things that you might want to do to help out the situation. First of all, knowing that you're starting from scratch, you might not be able to command those high prices that other eBay or sellers will. So for a top, for instance, that other people are getting $19.99 for, because you're new, you might want to price it a little bit lower just so you can get the feedback and just so you can start getting sales going through your store. So in the beginning, your profits might be lower, but it will help you build. Once you get enough sales and you start getting, stars and reviews come in, then eBay will increase your listing amounts. It will happen. You just have to be patient. Another thing that you might want to think about doing is buying items on eBay whenever you can. And when you buy an item, a lot of times the seller will leave feedback and leave you a positive review for being a good buyer. This can get you positive feedback and can also help buyers realize that you're serious about eBay, and they might then choose to buy from you. Now, you don't want to go and buy frivolous things on eBay because remember, we are trying to make a profit here. But if you need to buy shipping supplies, or if you need to buy measuring tape or a postal scale, or just clothes or books for your everyday life, think about going through eBay and purchasing them via the site, and that way you can start to rack up some good feedback. Now, one other thing that this person asked is it a good idea for them to open a store to be able to increase their listing amount? And you need to be careful because a store and listing amounts are two separate things. If you are only allowed to list 10 things on eBay and that's your listing cap, opening a store will not increase that listing cap. The only thing you can do to increase your listings is to get positive feedback and to get sales and to have really great customer service. And for the final question, I was asked what program I use to keep track of my inventory and costs. And I am going to hang my head in shame because I will admit to you right now that I actually don't keep track of my inventory and costs. It's something that is a really bad habit I got into when I first opened my eBay account. Didn't know how big I was going to make it, and so I didn't really write anything down. I didn't really keep track of it, and so it just kind of took on a life of its own. I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. I bought way too much inventory. I bought the wrong type of inventory. I poured a lot of money into it, and it wasn't until later that I slowed down and I really took a look at what I was selling and what I was doing before I was able to get on the right track. And by right track, what I mean is at the beginning, I wasn't a clothing reseller. I tried to sell plates and vintage wear and collectibles, and that really wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy the shipping aspect. Was just it was horrifying for me to bubble wrap things and still know that they're breaking on the way to where they were going. It just was not for me. I'd always been a thrifter. My mom taught me from a very young age how to shop at thrift stores and do well. So I watched a lot of videos and I educated myself on the most up-to-date brands and what was really selling. And then I hit the thrift stores for clothes. And when I started selling clothes, that's when I found my niche. I love the shopping part of it. I really like finding designer brands. It just absolutely makes my day, the thrill of the hunt. And shipping is so easy. Nothing can get broken. And, 80% of the time, I literally put it in a poly mailer and I slap a label on it and it is gone to its new home. So clothing is really right for me. Now, as far as the original question of how I keep track of my inventory, um, right now what I do is I have a single account that I work from. I work from a PayPal account, and that's attached to my eBay store, and it's also attached, that means to my shipping. And so what I'll do is at the end of the week, I will take out money from my PayPal account and I will put it on my debit card. And I will know how much money I have to source that week from my debit card. And then when money comes in or I pay for shipping, that's all done through PayPal. And at the end of the week, I'm able to kind of work out how much money I spent versus how much money I made. I know then how much I can take and put into my personal account separate from my business account. And in that personal account, I mainly use it. I racked up a credit card um, a while ago that I have not paid off yet. So I'm quickly paying that credit card off with the extra money. And then with anything I want to put back into my business, I transfer it from PayPal into my business debit card. And that's how much, again, I use to source for the next week. So I guess if I had the best way I can tell you is how I keep track of how much money goes in and how much goes out is through my PayPal account that it keeps very, detailed records. I also keep all of my receipts of everything that I'm buying because I do write that off in the end of the year with my taxes. So that's very important to me. I keep track of my mileage with those receipts. I source from mainly from probably 3 or 4 stores. So what I'm able to do is when I travel to a store to source, I will already have the mileage calculated because, as I said, if it's only a few stores, I will know, okay, this one is 4.5 miles to get there and 4.5 miles to get home. So it makes mileage very easy. So when I write that off at the end of the year, I can calculate that. I would say if you're looking for a better system of calculating than me, than just using, a PayPal account to know what your money's doing, I would recommend going back and watching some of Prof Sales here on YouTube, some of his older videos where he has his spreadsheets. And he does an amazing job of keeping track of everything. Again, that name is Prof Sales. You've probably already heard of him. He's phenomenal, a real pillar in the YouTube eBay community. He is with his partner Corinne, and together they are doing a beautiful business down south. I think he's in one of the Carolinas, and very interesting. The way that he does his what he calls prof math, where he works out everything from cost of goods sold to how long it takes him to process each item to everything to tax. He's really great at it. So for a better system of how to do it, I would recommend Prof Sales channel. So now it's time for the wrap up. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on this week-long experiment where I was doing eBay full time. And the first thing I have to say is, boy, does a lot of work go into full-time eBaying. Seriously, the sellers that do this full-time as their only income, I have so much respect for because it takes so much internal motivation and strength and just sheer will to get yourself to list and source and pay attention to the messages that are coming in and answering in a way that is helpful to your customers and your customer service. It really is, when you say full-time eBaying, it really is full-time. A lot of these full-timers also will work through the weekends. They'll work in the evening. There is no off button for eBay. It's open 24/7 online, and so you're going to be getting messages in the middle of the night, very, very early in the morning. You have to worry about making sure your shipments go out on time. So there's a lot of time management involved in that. It is a very hard gig. And so my hat again is off to all of you full-time eBay sellers. This is a difficult job, and many of you do it very, very well. And you also educate people on YouTube. So what you're doing is really quite amazing. So for me, full-time eBaying is not in the horizon. I have mentioned that I do work outside the home, and I do have a family which is going to be growing soon. And so I am going to be going back to my part-time situation, knowing that my profits are going to go back down. That's perfectly fine with me. The extra money absolutely comes in handy, but my husband and I both work, so we do have everything covered. Um, I got into this. I liked shopping, and so I got into this. It gives me a reason to get out of the house and go shopping. It also gives me a reason to be on Instagram and YouTube and meet other resellers, at least online, virtually meet them. And that really gives me a lot. Like, it really is one of those communities that really embraces each other, and I've gotten so much out of it that I'm very, very happy to be a part-timer, and I'm definitely going to keep that up. Let's recap a little bit about my time this week. I put in about 34 hours, I think. In total, which was not quite full time. I was trying to put in 40, but I didn't quite make it. That's okay, things happen. I estimate that I made around, uh, depending on how you count it, about between $566 and $630. And the discrepancy there is I did have some sales over the weekend that I counted in my Monday profits. And so I'm just going to go with the lower end. So let's say that I made around $566 this week. If you extrapolated that out, trying to figure out how much you would make in a year, that would be around $27,000 a year. Now, obviously, I believe that you can do even better than that. Like I said, I didn't quite do it full time. I also didn't talk about this during the week, but I pretty purposely stayed away from listing some of my really high-end items. I do have several St. John pieces that I did not have in my store this week. I have several, quite a bit actually, of Lululemon that I did not put up. And I did this on purpose because I didn't really want to inflate these numbers. I realize not everyone can find designer pieces. I have lots of Theory. I have some Alice and Olivia. These are much higher end brands that I didn't list, and I didn't have in my store on purpose because I wanted to give a good idea, even if you don't live around New York City or a major metropolitan area. What you were seeing me purchase and sell is something that a lot of people would be able to find, hopefully, in their area. I did like Torrid as a plus size brand. I did very well with that. So, you don't have to live in a major city. It certainly helps, and I'm very lucky to be in the area that I'm at. But even without designer pieces, you're still looking at a good return. And I would say as I dug deeper into it, and as I got more listings up, my profits went up, which is kind of obvious. You list more, you sell more, you make more. And as I was doing this, I realized if I was going to change this from a week-long experiment into a month-long experiment, I bet that I could pretty easily double the number of that profit number. And so instead of making $27,000 dollars a year. It could go up to, 40 plus. I don't want to say easily, but it's scalable in that way. Once I hit around 400 listings in my store, I really saw a huge jump in sales. And if you were full time and you continued to list every day consistently between 40 and 50 pieces, I see now how people get up into the 700, 800, 1,000 plus pieces in their store, and why they have these great weekends where they'll explain that they made over $1,000 in sales during the weekend. That seems pretty realistic, actually, if you look at it from that point of view. But again, I can't stress enough how difficult, how taxing being a full-time reseller can be, because you are outsourcing, you are taking photos, you're washing things, you're bagging them up to take to the post office. It can be mentally exhausting, it can be emotionally exhausting, and physically as well. So it's definitely not an easy way to make a full-time living, but it's very possible to make it. And one of the things that I really appreciate about selling on eBay and reselling in general is you get to make your own hours. That yes, the post office is open during certain times, and yes, the stores you're going to source at are open during certain times. But there was sometimes when I listed well into the evening, I would be up at 1 o'clock in the morning listing. And the reason I did that is because I had taken 3 hours off in the middle of the day to go have park time with my son or to go do something else. And so there really is a flexibility in this job that you don't get anywhere else. There's also a sense of satisfaction because you actually see the work that you put in, you see what you get out of it. You list more and you sell more, and there's a real sense of accomplishment there that you're an entrepreneur and you're making this business happen. So, all in all, I would say this was an incredibly interesting week for me, and I got a lot out of it. If you ever have the chance, if you are part time, if you ever have the chance to do a 40-hour week, I highly recommend it, especially if you're thinking about jumping into full time reselling, to take some time to do some trial runs into it and find out if it's right for you. And I think this is just an amazing way to make a living, and especially if you have a family or other commitments that you really need to work around and be flexible, this can be a way to where you can support them. So this is the New York Thrifter signing off for my week-long full-time eBay seller extravaganza. I hope that you got a lot out of this. I know that I did. And if you have any questions, please leave them below. I will do my very best to get to them. And I am looking forward to one, taking a few days off, slowing down just a little bit, and two, finding out if there's a little bit of an effect to see if my sales continue to go strong during this next week because I have so many items listed in my store. So I'm going to keep you up to date on that, and I really appreciate you following along. If you want to catch me on Instagram, I'm New York Thrifter, and I will be back soon.